We live in a world of more and more information, and it would seem less and less understanding. For me, researching the media is like building a life raft so we can make some sense of floating across this seemingly endless sea of data.
My research is in the area of sound studies, and I'm interested in the affective, gendered and social dimensions of sound and sonic media.
My research in the area of visual and digital culture is focused on 21st century crisis, and particularly the 21st century crisis in human knowledge and human being.
I'm really interested in children's radio and how British children consume radio, which is very, very underrepresented and very under-researched.
I'm interested in East Asian cinemas because I think if we study and critique East Asian cinemas and culture, it can help us understand the general world around us.
I'm interested in what particular communities say about how they imagine themselves through the films that they produce over time.
I'm working on child migrants and world cinema, and I'm also working on sort of intermediate approaches to Chinese visual arts and the structures of feeling in Xi Jinping's China.
I'm interested in studying the ways in which history are portrayed through the modern media, through films, TV series, video games and social media, because the ways in which we manipulate history are also ways of us revealing who we are, who we think we are, who we want to be and who we think we were.
I'm interested in researching the ways in which media studies is now grappling with issues around the non-human or the post-human.
The Lincoln School of Film and Media offers supervision for advanced level research on the subject areas of media, film and cultural studies. Students on this programme, under the personal supervision of their tutor, undertake in-depth research into a topic of their own choosing, culminating in a 25,000-word thesis.
We now live in media environments of incredible complexity. We live with media infrastructures, networks that are largely beyond our ability to comprehend them, that operate at spaces and times that beyond human perception.
My research is looking at the child listener in Britain going back to the 1920s when Children's Hour was set up by the BBC. It's particularly interesting because lots of people overlook the importance of teenagers and the listening to radio, because lots of people think British children don't listen to radio.
I predominantly look at the study of history in the media through two particular lenses. One is production and the second is reception. So I'll happily use textual analysis and modes of production contexts in order to look at the first process, the ways in which we repackage history, and I look at theories of reception in order to understand what we then do with that history and how that goes on to form sort of modern identities and imagination.
I'm looking at the phenomenon of prenatal speakers, which are sound systems designed to play music to fetuses. And I'm thinking about how these devices relate to questions of sonic affect, reproductive and gendered labour, and understandings of pregnancy.
My current research interest lies in Japanese cinema and how Japanese cinema and culture is reappropriating classical Japanese art, especially Eroguru Nansensu, into contemporary cinema and the meanings behind this.
The crisis can be articulated or interpreted in various different ways. So, for example, a crisis in geographical space, in an era of remote control and telepresence and accelerating speeds. A crisis of memory brought on by systems of archiving which increasingly preempt the way that we experience and record our everyday lives.
My work on child migrants and world cinema started with Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, but also looks at films that have been made around the world, particularly in China, in France, in the UK, in the States, in also more recently in Australia, thinking about what a child migrant's journey is like, what their settlement experiences are like, and how the rest of the world or the rest of the country where they leave or settle views them.
I'm interested in free speech. Who gets to talk, who doesn't get to talk, what they say, with what effect, through what medium. All these things are terribly important if we are to preserve our way of life, if we are to understand the world in which we live. You can join the programme anytime and receive targeted support aligned to each stage of your postgraduate research journey. But starting October, February or March, we'll give you access to a central training programme designed around the first 3 months of study. If you believe in the importance of increasing our understanding and are minded to make your mark as a media researcher, we exactly share your aspirations. Why not call to talk an idea through to the MA by Research Academic Contact on 01522 88 2000 or send an email. And there's an online application form on our website. The MA by Research. If it interests you, it interests us.